Hello and welcome to this spectacular update where we're building a fully scaled Lego cathedral. This video is packed with amazing details and a jaw-dropping final result, so let's get started. In previous episodes, we already built the foundation and interior, but now it's time to complete the entire cathedral, so stay tuned. The cathedral is located right in the heart of my city's historic district, bordering the market square, just like in the real world. To finish this massive build, I ordered $300 worth of new bricks, including pillars, arches, golden elements, and dark gray roof tiles for the cross-shaped roof structure. After sorting for an hour, here's the result of this huge order. In total, I've spent over $1,000 to bring this cathedral to life, but it was absolutely worth it. This update took a bit longer due to order delays and the sheer amount of work required to complete the building. But make sure to watch until the end, because the final result will blow you away. Now that all the bricks are sorted, we can finally finish the cathedral. The building is surrounded by more than 30 stained glass windows, for which I ordered special 1x1 translucent bricks. As you can see, the rear windows are still made of 2x2 bricks, which don't look as visually appealing. These needed to be replaced, so I spent over half an hour carefully stacking the new bricks. This process had to be done in a specific order to ensure that bricks of the same color don't end up next to each other. Now that the windows are updated, we're moving on to the interior walls above the altar. For this, I designed a special arched structure with black and gold windows. It wasn't easy to build due to the rounded shapes in the corners of the cathedral, but the 4 stud-wide arches fit perfectly into place. First, we're removing the central pillars to give us better access to finish the interior details. The white and gold windows blend beautifully with the rest of the altar, creating that authentic cathedral atmosphere. Not bad, right? This breaks up the plain white walls, adding a much more detailed and dynamic effect to the large surfaces. Now, we're moving on to adding the rounded shapes above the stained glass windows, creating a curved effect on the interior as well. Catholic cathedrals are always characterized by large, rounded forms, and in my opinion, these details really help capture that authentic look. With the interior finally complete, it's time to focus on the exterior walls. I've replaced the white pillars with the same brick yellow color as the rest of the walls. By incorporating rounded shapes, the window frames stand out against the walls, adding extra depth and detail to the building. Exactly what you want when designing a cathedral. Now that we've applied these changes to the entire building, we can really start to see the final result taking shape. Comparing it to my original designs, I'm glad I chose to keep optimizing the build. It takes a lot of time and effort, but when you see the end result, it's absolutely worth it. Now, we're moving on to the most stunning part of the cathedral, the front facade with the 2 massive towers. Here, I've incorporated a large circular stained glass window and used a variety of different bricks to add as much intricate detail as possible. I decided to remove the ticket booth and replace it with a staircase that provides access to the towers and the upper section of the cathedral. At first, I designed a rounded staircase, but as you can see, it didn't fit well next to the organ. It was too dominant in the space. So, due to the limited room, I had to improvise. Instead, I came up with a ladder-style structure and placed it against the wall. It's not the ideal solution, but let's be honest. Life in the past wasn't nearly as comfortable as it is today. Now, let's move on to the upper section of the cathedral. We're covering the entire outer edges with white plates to make the upper section accessible for the church staff. I extended the pillar supports all the way to the outer walls, ensuring the floor is reinforced from multiple sides. Every Lego builder knows that the best building experience comes from working on a solid and stable foundation. As you can see, aligning the corners perfectly wasn't easy, but overall, I'm quite satisfied with how it turned out. The center section of the cathedral remains open, so I need to add a railing to prevent anyone from falling while accessing the roof area. I'm also adding a layer of flat bricks along the outer walls, extending slightly outward. This small addition enhances the detail of the walls, making the structure look even more refined. We'll continue with this floor later, but first, we're finishing the front facade. As you can see in the footage, I start by building multiple designs and then refine them from there. I'm a very visual builder, so I need to see the design take shape before deciding whether I'm happy with it or if I need to try a different approach. After studying several real churches, I noticed that cathedral towers typically don't feature rounded arches, but are instead built using multiple pillars placed side by side. So I decided to tear down my previous design and instead connect the floors between the towers, making it feel like a single unified structure. You can see how I designed the pillars, placing them across the entire floor. Around them, I've built a custom structure that perfectly fits onto the existing pillars. This was quite a challenging task, but it's exciting to see that creative ideas like this can achieve the desired effect. If you ask me, this design comes very close to how real cathedrals are built. Much better, right? It's really starting to look like a true cathedral. To complete this section, I'm finishing the floor with white tiles, creating a look that closely resembles real marble flooring. This floor needs to be fully accessible to the church staff, just like in real historic cathedrals. Now that the entire floor is finished with white tiles, it's time to move on to the towers. I ordered about 100 round windows with golden grills, which I plan to integrate into the top floor in the towers. The walls surrounding the windows are built using pillars and rounded arches, which match the curved shapes seen throughout the cathedral's design. I'm so happy with how the towers turned out. The cathedral is really starting to resemble a real-life cathedral, similar to the Notre Dame in Paris. This type of historic church served as inspiration for my own design. With the two towers nearly complete, we're now adding an extra layer on top of the outer wall and replacing the black fencing with a matching wall structure in the same color as the rest of the exterior walls. The reason I have so many 1x4 stud bricks in brick yellow is that I've regularly purchased them from the pick-a-brick wall at my local Lego store. In total, I think I've bought around 10 large boxes filled with just this one type of brick. If I had ordered these online, this build alone would have cost me thousands of dollars more, just to give you an idea of how many bricks go into a massive project like this. I'm also integrating the black round windows into the wall, which, in my opinion, blend perfectly with the overall tower structure. This creates a clear distinction between the upper section of the cathedral and the lower part, which features the large stained glass windows. Since cathedrals like this are built in a cross shape, the side sections also include beautiful architectural elements positioned directly above the other entrances of the building. I'm adding a round window here, just like the one I installed above the main entrance. Integrating it into the wall was a real challenge, but I think it turned out pretty well, don't you agree? I also filled the rest of the wall with various brick yellow bricks, but then I realized that there needs to be a way to access the rest of the upper level from this area. So, I'll need to create openings to allow movement across the entire rooftop. For this, I also used rounded arches with an opening that is narrower than the usual 4-stud wide doors I typically use. In old churches, passageways are often much smaller than what we're used to in modern buildings. I extended the floor from one side of the cathedral to the other, using the same white plates. On the sides, I placed black railings and finished the floor with white tiles. Personally, I think everything looks so much better when it's fully tiled, and this section really makes that clear. Now that this floor is nearly complete, it's time to move on to the final piece of this massive build, the roof. I'm designing a cross-shaped roof with dark gray roof tiles, along with a central tower at the intersection of the cross. This will be the tallest point of the cathedral, as is always the case in Catholic churches like this. In the footage, you can see my design process. I started with a clear vision, but during construction, I kept adjusting the design as new challenges emerged. As you can see, the roof alone requires a massive amount of bricks since all the roof tiles need internal support. I estimate I've spent around $50 just on roof tiles, and that doesn't even include the base plates or the internal reinforcements. But despite the high cost, I think the final result speaks for itself. Don't you agree? It's become a solid, heavy Lego structure, which is always fun to hold. Now that the roof is complete, we're moving on to the tower that will sit right in the center of the roof. I decided to build it in the same dark gray color as the rest of the roof and finished it with golden elements, just like you often see in real cathedrals. I also added these golden details to the side structures of the church. For these, I used a similar rounded design, incorporating a large golden wheel at the center. This detail gives the cathedral a sense of grandeur, reflecting the high status and intricate craftsmanship seen in real historic cathedrals. To make the roof easily removable from the rest of the building, I finished the top walls with tiles, leaving only a few connection points. This way, the interior remains accessible in case I need to make adjustments. Plus, it's always fun to show the interior to people who are curious about what's happening inside the cathedral. Now, we're securing the roof in place, and just look at the result. In my opinion, this completes the entire build. This was a real moment of realization for me. I suddenly became aware of just how much work went into this project. What started as a small idea has grown into a massive build, something I never could have imagined would turn out like this. We're also finishing the two towers with tiles and adding a dark gray roof to match the rest of the cathedral. Now that this is done, it's time for the final detailing, which consists of pillars that extend from the walls and rest against the roof. I had to build around 24 of these to place them all around the cathedral. This is a common architectural feature in cathedrals, serving as structural support for the roof while also adding extra depth and detail to the walls. That's exactly why I had to include it in my own design. We're also finishing the rest of the walls with tiles and adding pointed bricks to the pillar elements for extra detail. Now, the cathedral is finally complete, and it's time to place it in the city. You don't want to miss this, so keep watching. Since it's a massive and heavy structure, it takes a lot of effort to safely position it. But once it's in place, it's truly a moment to enjoy. In my opinion, it fits perfectly among the other buildings in the historic district and is a great addition to my Lego city. It has become a colossal structure that stands out as the main eye-catcher, yet it blends well with the surrounding architecture. The towers rise above the other buildings, but not in a way that feels overwhelming or obstructs the view of the city. The transition from the market square to the side entrance of the church turned out exactly as I had envisioned. In real life, churches are often located next to squares, serving as central landmarks in cities. The area where the gas station is now will soon feature 4 large historic buildings surrounding the cathedral with 19th century architecture, further enhancing the authentic feel of the city center. Longtime followers of my channel know that I originally started building a city full of modern skyscrapers, but over time, I transitioned to a 19th century architectural style. When I created my first historic building, I never imagined that it would eventually take up such a large part of my city. But that's what makes building with Lego so exciting. You never know exactly how a project will turn out, and along the way, amazing designs emerge from original ideas. As much as I love working on this city and want to keep expanding it, your support means a lot. This is an incredibly costly project, and you can help out by simply liking this video, leaving a comment with your thoughts on the cathedral, and of course, subscribing to my channel. Want to see more exclusive content? Consider becoming a channel member to gain access to member-only videos. For now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.